everybody, and welcome to the Makers of Minnesota podcast, where we talk to cool people doing cool things. I am here with Gwen Bretsky Daniels, and she is a neighbor that I met on Halloween. And it's funny how you run into people, but we got to talking at a party, and she was telling me about her business, NorSari, which is a Nordic sari or a wrap blanket. And I have seen these in the store before. Did you used to have a location in Northeast, or were you for sale somewhere in Northeast?
Yes, there was a shop right across from Young Joni that had them a couple years ago.
I do remember that because I ran into them and I thought, well, this is clever. So how did you come up with this idea or this design for this thermal blanket that's like a skirt wrap? It's adorable.
Yeah, it's a blanket you can wear, is how I say it. But I started not ever dreaming I was going to be creating a business. It was just a really cold morning. I worked up at St. Olaf in the art and dance office. I was the administrative assistant there. And it was really cold. So before I went out to my car, I grabbed the blanket off my couch. I wrapped it around my waist, put my coat on. I walked by the mirror as I was going to the car, and I thought, nobody's even going to know this is my blanket. And so by the time I got to campus, I parked, I walked up to the office, and I'm like, why isn't this a thing? I am so warm and cozy. And so I brought it into work, and then I had to go, run over to the cafeteria later, and I put it back on. And all these trips across campus, I was like, this needs to be a thing. And I've just kind of been obsessed with it ever since. And it's just my love right now. Been doing it for 10 years.
Oh, gosh. So once you get past 5 years, they say you're unemployable by anyone other than yourself. Do you feel like that's true?
That I'm unemployable?
Yes, that once you've got to being in your business for 5 years, that you really can't work for anybody else ever again.
I'm always working. I've got lots of irons in the fire. So yeah.
Do you have
I have help with NorSari. It's grown a lot.
Okay, so tell me about it. Who's your primary customer? Where are primary sales coming from? Obviously, winter's a big time for you, so I'm glad we can get you on before the holiday season.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, well, I started out after I wore that blanket, just kind of making them for family and friends to make sure I wasn't crazy. And I would make them and give them away, or I'd sell them for cost. And I just was getting so much feedback from people that, yeah, this really works. And so I kept, and I'd go buy more fabric and I'd make more. And by the second year, I was really set on trying to grow this and make it a thing. Like people wear hats and scarves and mittens. I wanted there to be NorSari to keep people warm too. So I started having women in Northfield, that's where we lived at the time, sew for me. And I had about 8 people at the time sewing, and they'd come to my house and pick up boxes of fabric that I had cut and prepared for them. They'd take it home, they'd make them, give them back to me. I developed the website, and I'd sell them on the website. And it got to be a lot because I had to drive up to Minneapolis to get my fabric, or just drive all over Creation to try to buy fabric, because it's not easy to find really beautiful wool in large quantities.
Sure.
So eventually I knew I wanted some help with this. And I had a nephew who was a Carleton econ student at the time. But after enough years, he graduated, he grew up, he was part of an investment firm, and they wanted to invest in NorSari. And through another job he had with the Utah Jazz, he had met a guy who had been in the apparel industry all his life, who knew how to do it. And that was the key. He had connections, how we could get lots of them made, how we can market them all over the country. And it's just really grown.
So is it where, do you have states where there's, it's kind of feels wintry to me, but it could be because it's completely snowing outside today. So is there a season to the NorSari, or is it?
There definitely is. Winter is great for NorSari. And we sell them all over the country, and you watch the weather and you can kind of tell what the weather is doing. Plus, I think we advertise based on snowstorms and cold temperatures. We sell a lot to Alaska, but all over, especially from the Northwest to New England. This week, it's been a ton in the state of Virginia. I haven't even looked to see if they've had cold weather, but it's really kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
They're all over Colorado mountains.
Do you run into people wearing them ever?
Oh yeah, I do. I walk around the lakes and I'll walk by somebody nice NorSari, and they kind of look at me. And I
Are
used to
you
have friends who were always asking for business cards because when you wear one, people inevitably stop you and say, "What are you wearing?" And now I just tell people, have them take a picture of the little pocket tag, and that has NorSari on it. And then you can just go to norsari.com. So that's
and
been
it's
good.
really comfy. Like you can wrap it around. It's really comfy. I was wearing it the other day. My husband likes the house colder than I do, so I was wearing it when we were watching television. It's got a pocket in the front that kind of holds your phone pretty conveniently if you're on a walk or trying to hold the dog. I really thought it was quite lovely. And also, like, we're in this time of, we have a lot of fires, like outside fires, fire pits, that sort of thing. I thought it was cozy there. And also, like, if you're going to a hockey game or something that's inside in an arena that's really cold, all of these hockey moms, they definitely need Norsaris.
Yeah. Yeah. And soccer games in the fall, I'll frequently see pictures of moms on the sidelines with a blanket wrapped around them. But this has Velcro, it stays in place. You can sit down easily.
Yeah, it's completely handy and all set. So you came up with the design from a blanket, but then did you decide to add the pocket later, or where did the pocket come
Yeah.
from?
So the blanket that I wore that morning was actually kind of a big blanket. So I folded it over in half and wrapped it around. And then I rolled the top over, and that's what held it in place, like a sarong. And so the first ones I made, they did not have a pocket. They did not have Velcro. They were basically long strips of beautiful wool fabric that you wrapped around. And gradually I kept experimenting, trying to make different sizes because I knew I wanted these to fit a wide range of people. So I came up with 3 different sizes. So like the small fits women's 2 to 8, mediums are 10 to 14, larges are 16 to 20s. And then the pocket developed, and because I figured I needed something for my phone. And yeah.
And it's perfect. I mean, because I walk my dog and I was cold because it's been chilly. And I thought, oh, I have this pocket right here. That's pretty handy too. Are they carried in stores or is it all direct to consumer now?
It's mostly all online. I've got a few smaller shops in the area that have some. So there's Luya's out in Excelsior, great shoe store. And then Fine Fettle down in Northfield carries them. It's a lovely gift shop right on Bridge Square. And then there's a shop in Wisconsin over kind of by Madison that has them. But I am doing a show this weekend at Utapels, the Nordic Eula Market, which
Oh, tell me about that.
Oh, I did it their very first year. It was across the street from the Sons of Norway down in Uptown. They had a big tent, and this was my first big foray into an event. I had no idea what to expect, and it was so fun. I had people lined up to buy these things in a line, and I sold out, and it was so exciting. And now they've moved to Utapels, and I'll be outside in the beer garden, but they'll have the fire pits and different vendors. I think maybe 38 vendors are going to have, or 18.
And you'll be warm because you'll be wearing your NorSari.
Exactly. Yeah. I like it when it's a little cold, but not too cold.
I love it.
Out there.
Do you have like a firm that's hired for like SEO and search engine optimization, and do you use social media at all?
Yes. So Brett, the guy that we've hired to kind of manage it, who my nephew have met, he had connections with people to do marketing and even to develop the website more. I had created the website originally in Shopify. That's what I was doing at St. Olaf in the art department. I was doing the web design. And so I kind of learned all that on the job. And I learned everything with NorSari on the job. I had to learn all the finance and the marketing and the production and all that. So I learned a lot through this process. But I'm really glad that now we have professionals who are helping me to grow it, because that's been my dream all along. And I still have a couple of women down in Northfield who do sewing. And so when I find gorgeous fabric, I buy it, I cut it, I still bring it down there and they make it. So we do have this smaller made in Minnesota collection, but it's just too much for me to do all of it myself.
Yeah. So that's kind of neat. So you set that aside as for someone that's important to them or those attributes are important. You still
Yeah.
offer that as a point of origination if someone's interested in that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that idea. Well, it's super great to talk with you. And you've had this business now for 10 years. Do you have a succession plan? Are you thinking about your nephew as you move into something else, or will you just keep going with this?
I will continue to support them however they need me to, because it's where my heart is. But I would love to see it get where they don't even need me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're
And
really to that point, except for this Made in Minnesota collection.
which is
And
kind of neat because it gives you sort of the heritage touchstone to what you started and why you started it and sort of the heart of the start of the business, right?
exactly. Yeah. Because now I've got grandchildren all surrounding me and a lot going on. So it's worked out really well.
Yeah, I love it. Well, it's super fun to talk with you. Thank you for my NorSari. I love it. I may actually end up wearing it today. I have to trek across town during rush hour.
Oh, for
But
sure. You got to have that on.
can imagine it could be real cozy in the car and handy if I get stuck, right?
Right, right.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for talking to me, Stephanie.
Yeah, it's great. And I'll maybe run into you at Uda Pills this weekend.
Sounds good. I'll be there a lot. So,
Okay.
all
All
right,
right.
bye-bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.